All right. How's everyone doing tonight? This is Thinking Beyond Borders Google Alumni Hangout. So we get to spend the next 45 minutes kind of talking about what it's like to do one of our gap year programs. My name is Kasha Coombs, and I am the Alumni Fellow. So I actually did the program about 5 years ago. I did the Global Gap Year, but then just recently I led the semester program to South America this last fall. So bring in your questions. Either you can, I think you can type on the Q&A, but if that doesn't work, it's on the side bar on the left side of your screen. If it's not there, then just you can chat us and we'll try to answer your questions. But now I'll turn the time over to Krisz and she can introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Krisz G. I went on the South America Gap program this past fall, and I just started school in January.
Perfect. Yeah, I was actually Chris's PL, program leader. So it's good to see her face again. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Again, if you guys have any questions, throw them in there and we will definitely answer them. Okay, well first, Krisz, why don't you tell us why you chose to do a gap semester?
Well, originally I wanted to do a gap year, but with my whole recruitment process for crew and working with sports, I had to take off one semester only. And so I was given 4 options as to what I can do for the fall. And one of those options included the Thinking Beyond Borders program, and it was the most interesting to me, so I selected that one.
Can I ask you why it was the most interesting?
Well, there were 3 other trips that would go to England, and they were like on-set campuses, like one in France, England, and Dublin. And they just, I don't know, I didn't want to like stay on a campus and do the same thing over again. And going to Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia was definitely different and out of my comfort zone, so I definitely wanted to do that instead.
Cool. All right. So, Krisz, what was your biggest takeaway from the program?
My biggest takeaway? This is hard. My biggest takeaway is definitely that the main source of learning comes from experience. And you can't read everything from a book or get taught something in a classroom. Like, you have to go outside and meet new people in order to learn new things, or experience like a different culture in order to learn something new.
Great. Good takeaway. Okay, well, you went to South America. Which one was your favorite country? We went to Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. So which one was your favorite?
I definitely have no favorite. I'm still more curious about Peru just because our lack of time being there. So, I mean, if I could go, I'm going to change the question. Like, if I could go back to one, it would be Peru. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, Peru was beautiful. I love Peru. You guys don't know this, but Krisz loves nature. And we were hiking on top of this mountain and it was snowing. We just hit the summit. We were coming down and it was like the hardest last 2 hours ever. And we were just looking through all this beautiful scenery. And me and Krisz just, had this moment. Krisz got a little teary-eyed, but it was okay, what was your favorite meal then in South America?
My favorite meal was in Bolivia. We made this dish called pastel, which is sort of similar to empanadas, and they're filled with cheese and like topped off with powdered sugar. And it's also eaten with this with a drink called api. It's like this purple corn maize drink, and I remember like it was yesterday. It was probably my favorite meal there because I got to make it.
Yeah, the food in South America, I mean, it's definitely, just for those who have never been to South America, it's a lot of chicken. Like, you always have meat, potatoes, and rice, right? It's pretty fair enough to say. Sometimes a little salad. It's pretty basic, but good. It's good. I remember my favorite meal, my the host family we were living with had this big like barbecue and cooked a bunch of this like a ton of different kinds of meats, and it tasted so good, and everything was like barbecue flavored, and it was delicious. It was a good day. Good day in Bolivia or Ecuador. Good day in Ecuador. Okay, so Krisz, how would you say your Spanish was before you went on the trip, and how it was when you left?
My experience with Spanish before the trip, I only took Spanish my freshman year of high school, so going into it, I didn't really know like a lick of Spanish other than like hola and ciao and nothing much. But getting accustomed to the environment, I started improving my Spanish more, and being there longer, it was easier to communicate or get some understanding of what someone was saying, or find some way to like communicate. So it definitely improved a lot. Yeah.
Cool. Good. Yeah. I really don't speak any Spanish. And by the end of it, I felt like I could actually understand the conversations going on around me, which was cool. I got really good at nodding and understanding different verbs and smiling and laughing appropriately. But yeah, language, some people worry about this if they don't speak the language, that they're not going to have a good experience. You're still going to have a great experience even if you don't speak Spanish, and you'll be taking Spanish classes in the Spanish semester, or if thinking about the global or any of the other programs. It's less emphasis on the language, but in the South America program specifically, you practice your Spanish a lot, and you have lessons, and they definitely help you to communicate with your host families. But if you can't communicate with words, there's lots of other ways you can communicate through sign language and charades and music or laughter. You end up laughing at each other a lot. Mm-hmm. So don't worry about that too much. Okay. I'm just going to throw this one at you, Krisz. What was your favorite experience from your gap year? Like when you think of like the one moment you're like, oh my gosh, this is why I took a gap year. What is it?
That's hard.
It has to be like your favorite one, but just the first one comes to your head.
I don't even know. That's so difficult. I mean, like there are a few that I'm thinking about, and it's just hard to pick from one.
Well, just choose one of them.
Okay. When we were in Ecuador, we were going through a section on education, and there we were teaching students. And with the education system down there, it's not as good as it is in the United States. And so going to a school every day and like teaching students, like it was very hard and very tough, especially because there weren't many rules that were enforced. And so when I was there with my group and we were enforcing all these rules and just like teaching like polite manners and certain words in English and teaching them songs in English, and you come back the next day and like to see that they want to learn more about it, or that they remember what you taught them, or they ask about like something that you once mentioned. It's really nice to know that like someone's actually like listening to what you're doing, and like what you did like reached out to the other person for sure.
Cool. Yeah, those classrooms were not easy for you guys.
No. No.
That's awesome. Yeah, just for general information, in the South America semester, the first section in Ecuador, you focus on education. And so every day you are teaching English, like Krisz did, to either middle school, elementary school, or high school kids. So it's fun. You learn how to teach, you learn how to be a teacher really quick. And these kids end up just having the blast with you. And then the second part of it in Bolivia, you're focusing on natural resources and sustainable agriculture. So the project there is different than what Krisz did now. It's a water deprivation project. So you're helping with the issue with the lack of water that's going on in Bolivia, which is cool. All right. So what was your favorite work project, Krisz, between the two that you did?
My favorite work project was probably working in the on the farm in Bolivia. It was easier to see the physical difference and impact that we made, whether it was like taking care of like the weeds and gardening and on the field and all, and taking care of the water irrigation system that like went to the animals in the back. That was definitely I like that project more just because I could visually see the differences and impacts we were making like day by day.
Mm. That's cool. Yeah, it was a fun project. Every day it was fun too because every day we kind of did something different.
Right.
So it was there's a lot of variety, which was cool. Awesome. So, Krisz, here is the $1,000,000 question. How was dealing with being sick? Because it happens on gap years.
I got pretty lucky. I lasted for a while before I got sick. It was midway through my last month in Bolivia, and I thought I was gonna make it and like not get sick at all. And then one day, everything turned around, and I don't know. I think I got like food poisoning or something, and it was definitely the worst. But it was nice because the friends on my gap year the friends that I made, they took me home and they took care of me, and they informed my host parents as to what was going on, and called my program leaders, and so that they were aware of the situation. And even my host family like helped me out and brought me to the hospital. And it was nice to know that everyone around me was there to support me and care for me, and so I wasn't by myself.
Cool. Yeah, you're likely to get sick, but don't let that scare you. I ended up getting 3 parasites at once. Claim to fame on that trip. I hold the winning title for that. But yeah, if there's anything, we definitely we make sure that you get healthy as soon as possible. And luckily we didn't have anything too serious. And if it does get really serious, unfortunately, we'll end up sending you home, but we make sure you get home just so you can have the proper care. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So just don't let that scare you away. Okay, we have a question from someone in the audience, Krisz.
Oh, wow.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. The question is, what is it like living with host families? How is the time divided between host families, stays, and spending time with the other gap semester people? Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. So she's asking, so what's it like to live with host families, and how do you divide the time between spending time with them versus spending time with everybody else on the group?
Okay. Well, I had the best connection with my family in Ecuador. In Ecuador, I was roomed up with a boy, and so it was definitely strange at first. So there was a difference between gender there. And if we sitting down with the family for every meal meant a lot to them, because food there and their culture is such a big and important thing. And so we would have small talks and small words in Spanish that were simple and easy, and they tried to help us as much as possible with hand gestures, or they would bring out food and utensils and point to objects to teach us things. And so those small gatherings that were most important to them and us joining them, and definitely meant a lot to them, especially because we wanted to be there and we wanted to be a part of their family for that temporary time. It was easy, especially because I had a host brother who was about my age, and so he would always fool around with us and start dancing in the halls, and it was fun. When I came to hanging out with the rest of the group, it was definitely easy because during the day I would work with a separate group of people to go to school, and I already lived with one person, but my host parents were pretty lenient on letting me go out and explore the town, and so that was pretty simple. And I've lived very close by to other students that were living there, from the GAP program, and so it was very easy to hang out if need be. So it was nice.
Cool. Yeah, Nicole, what I would just say to that, to add on to what Krisz just said, there's a good balance of time. I think it definitely depends on you and what you want to do. In Bolivia, you're living in Cochabamba, so it's a big city, so there's a lot of things you can go out and do with your fellow program participants. The students you guys always got together to like do dinner or I don't know, walk through the squares or do things like that. But then there's also the balance of hanging out with your host family. Some students hung out with their host families more than others. It just really depends on the connection that you make and the time that you want to spend with them versus the time you want to spend with the group members. So it's really up to you. And yeah, and living with host families is like the best thing ever. If you're gonna visit a country, that is the place. Like that is the way to do it. Because nothing will it's a very personal way to get to know the country and the culture. Because you're pretty much being thrown into it. All right. Next question from someone. This is so exciting. This is from Quinn. Hi, Quinn. The question is, did the semester program feel long enough, or do you think it would have been better if you could have done the gap year?
I wish I did the gap year program. The gap semester was definitely too short. I always want to think it like in the long term and think in advance. So 3 months for me definitely flew by really quick. And even thinking about the program in advance, I thought, okay, this is going to be a short trip. And then in the moment, I thought, wow, this is longer than I thought. But then once it was over, it was gone. And so I really wish I took advantage of taking a full year and doing the gap year program and going to different countries. And so if I could go back, I would have done the gap year program.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased because I did the gap year program, but I also led the semester program. And I agree with Krisz in the sense that like at the end of the semester program as a PL, I felt like all my students were just scratching the, what was that saying? They were just fully now just understanding the concepts that we were talking about, and they're just getting there. And I felt like we were just right when they're biting, into the, I don't know, the deliciousness of the topics that we were talking about. It was like we had to send them home and just cross our fingers and hope that they would continue to, explore these questions that they had. And I know for me, when I did the global gap year, I felt like right around Christmas time, which is the time the semester program goes home, that was when I was like, oh, okay, I got this. Okay, I'm starting to understand the things that we're talking about. I was kind of getting a hold on things. But with that said, I think, because I know with the semester program, some people want something short. We're not trying to down talk the semester program. I think the semester program is great for people who have something else to do with their second semester. Or if even sometimes like for financial reasons, if you only want to do the semester program, it's still a great program. You do get a lot done. It's a lot of hands-on work. We do put in a lot of information and a lot of experience in those 3 months. So we'd make the best of the time that you have. And it's really up to you too. We give you all this information, all this experience, and it's up to you how much you want to take in and really wrestle with. But so I also think that the gap year program, the global year is the best because you have 8 months to grow and to learn. But the 3-month program is great as well, just shorter. So of course, less time means less growth, less learning, just a little bit of less, but it's still great. I might get punished for saying that later, but it's a great program. All right. Any other questions from anyone? None so far. Hopefully, Quinn, that answered your question. Okay. So, Krisz, how can one person pack their whole life into one backpack?
For me, that process was a little simple because I had already gone out on month-long trips before, and I had gone out camping, and I had enough experience to like know that like it's okay to just bring like 5 pairs of shirts and 3 pairs of pants and stuff. But and I had all like the equipment that I needed, so I had the backpack, which was nice. So for me, packing my life into one backpack was okay. I'm one person to easily let go of something and like move on. And so I packed less than I needed actually for the trip. And what I packed were pieces of clothing that I could either give away or throw out if it got too bad. And so by the end of it, the location in Bolivia had an area of which you can donate your clothes. So that's where I ended up donating all my clothes to. And I had enough room to bring more stuff home. So I brought more things home for my family, and I definitely thought it out for sure.
Yeah, I think people like overcomplicate it. We'll send you a packing list, so it's very clear like what we think you should bring, like how many shirts, how many pants, what type of warm clothing, that kind of stuff. So that's really helpful for me. I grew up with a mother who always gave us packing lists when we left on big trips, so I was familiar with that. But honestly, yeah, just don't overthink it. Don't worry about having a cute outfit every day. Everybody's going to find out your 5 articles of clothing, and that's going to be fine. It's fine if you wear the same clothes in the same week. Nobody cares on a gap year. We all look really rough. So definitely bring things that are comfortable, things that you can do work in, but also things you can wear around town, some good walking shoes, some good hiking shoes. If you're either way, make sure your shoes are waterproof for the Inca Trail. For the part in Peru, you will do a hike, or at least water resistant or something, because we were hiking through really cold water and our feet got very cold. So I'm telling you that now. That's my big piece of information or advice. Get hiking shoes that are waterproof, water resistant, etc. Okay, we have a question from Nicole. How many students on average take part in a gap semester? How many? You can answer that. You can just say how many people are in your group.
We had 14 students in our group and 3 program leaders. Kasha, you were an exception, right? Because you were this like fellowship member, right?
Yeah.
But I think typically it's only 2 program leaders, and I think what's the maximum? 15 students or something?
Yeah. So our max for the groups are 18.
Oh, 18.
So they usually average. So you'll never have more than 18. But usually averages around 15, 14 people, which is what Krisz had in their semester. And it's the same in the global. Then again, the Asia semester tends to be a smaller group. This last semester, we only had about 9 with 2 program leaders. Generally, they do try to have 3 program leaders with every group. Unless it's smaller, then they only need to have 10. I mean, they only need to have 2. Sorry. Only need to have 10 program leaders for 9 students. No, sorry, 9 students and 2 program leaders. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Usually averages around 15. So there you go, Nicole. Again, you guys keep texting in questions. I don't know if you are joining late or anything, but please feel free to, if you have questions that you want us to answer, even if you want us to go over things we've already talked about, feel free to chime in at the question and answer section, and we will answer them. Okay, Krisz. Okay, here's the big one. What was the hardest part for you on your program?
On my program?
Yeah, for you. On your gap semester, what was the hardest part?
The hardest part was probably like when you learn about a tough situation, or like whether it's like the water issue in Bolivia or the lack of a good education in Ecuador. Like it's great to learn about, but then once you get put into that situation and you see it for yourself, you kind of just like step back a little and you think, wow, like I can't believe this is actually happening. And at first, like, you think, like, okay, I'm going to expect this for sure, but you can't really say that until you're there. Because when I was there, I saw it all happen. Like, I was walking around the city of Cochabamba, and I even see the smog in the air, like the air pollution, and it's so, like, awful. Like, and you see it, and, like, you want to make an impact on it. So that's definitely the hardest thing, is to be there in person and see it firsthand for yourself, or experience the lack of water. One of the girls in the program, like, she didn't have a lot of water from her family, like, for a few days, or like, situations like that, just, like, they really suck. I would have to say, like, after the program, we did come back around Christmas season, and I am from New York City, and so when I did go home, the adjustment was very, very difficult. So that was probably also on top of it very hard.
Yeah. The readjustment is tricky because you have a crazy, crazy experience. I know for me, after I did the 8-month program, or 7 months now, it takes some time to kind of readjust and to take in everything that you've learned and experienced in the last 7 months, and really try to figure out the person that you've become. You do grow and you develop into someone different than you were when you left, and so it's kind of trying to figure out how to fit this new person in your old. So it takes a second, but we try to help with that. We have seminars and we prep you guys. I mean, we talk about it. We give you a place to talk about it. Especially at the 8-month program, we have like 2 weeks where we just talk about it. Where in the semester program, we spend a few days in DC, kind of just talking about it. All right, we have another question from Quinn, and she asked, sorry if you guys don't want me to announce who they're from. I realized I maybe shouldn't do that. Okay, what did you do about personal hygiene? For example, acne and bathing.
Well, even well, you live with the host family, and you definitely do have the necessities, like a bathroom for sure. And so even though, like, your shower head might not be as good as it is at home, like, it's still something. Or our enrichment week in Mindo, Ecuador, there were showers, but the majority of us just took it to the river that was beside us, and we would bathe in the river together, and that was fun. But when it comes to hygiene, you have the necessities around you for sure. Like, you're able to take a shower whenever you please. And then I guess when it comes to acne, I guess you're going to be in like a sweaty, hot environment, especially if you go on the South American trip. So I guess you should expect that. But it shouldn't matter what you look like, so, like, you're fine.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Yeah, some of my most horrendous pictures of me are from my gap year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always try to make sure that you guys will have some sort of bathing situation. The only, like, I think the harshest living situation will be on the global gap year. When you go to Ecuador, you're living with an indigenous tribe in the middle of the Amazon. So usually there's showers, or sometimes you would shower with a bucket. Me and my roommate would shower in the river, like Krisz had mentioned earlier. That's probably the harshest living experience, but it makes an adventure. I mean, you feel clean, but you do appreciate when we get to a nice hostel and you get to take a nice hot shower. We don't promise hot water. But yeah, you're good. We take care of you. Okay, next question. Do you live with host families or by yourself, or are you paired with other students? Krisz, take this away.
Well, my past 2 experience with the host families, in Ecuador, I was paired up with a boy, and then in Bolivia, I was paired up with 2 people, a boy and a girl. Everyone is always paired up with someone. Even with that one exception with Nick in Bolivia, like he was the only person from his program, but he was living with another boy from the United States who was also living with that host family. So even though he was by himself from the program, he was still with another guy his age. But you're always with someone.
Yeah. So we always lived in host families, except for when we do like the week excursion in Peru. You'll live in a hostel, and you will spend like the first 2 weeks for orientation. You're living in this, I don't even know what to call it, like this little eco lodge, where you have to like cross a river on this like pulley system, and then hike about a half mile to get to. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's so cool. And you're right by the river and it's beautiful. You do get to fall asleep to the sound of the river every night. Yes, but yeah, like Krisz said, you're always paired up with another student when you're with the host family. So you're never really alone. You always have at least one person that speaks English with you, which is comforting. All right. Girls, keep bringing the questions. You're doing great. Krisz, I don't know, do you have just any advice for them? For any future students, like what's something that you wish someone had told you before you left?
I wish someone told me before to just not worry about what's going on outside of the program. During the program, like you're giving laptops and like you can take your time to use them like however you want, whether it's on your media project or for like leisure time and leisure activities. But I kept in contact with my parents for sure, and as my own choice, I talked to them about like once a week or so. People talk to them more or less, but that was just me. And sometimes I kept updated with my friends, and then after a while, I really didn't want to or feel the need to because it didn't seem as important as than like the certain like situation that we were dealing with. So I wish that I would have never contacted like people outside of the group, other than my parents. I just didn't want to get involved with anything that was at home, because I'm not there. I'm somewhere else worrying about something more important and worrying about myself. So yeah.
Don't worry about what's going on at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely will have moments of homesickness. That's not a thing that, some people never get homesick. I was not one of those people. But yeah, it happens. But a lot of times what encourages that homesickness is that constant connection to home. It's actually interesting how less homesick you get when you really focus on what's going on here and now, and you're focusing on the program, you're focusing on the project and the relationships that you're making with your host family and with the other program participants. Really focus, I would agree with Krisz, just really focus on what's going on then and now in that country, because you're going to leave it and you're going to go back to all those people that you missed. You're only in this country for 5 weeks, and who knows when you're going to go back. So you definitely don't want to leave with any regrets. And especially on such a cool program as Thinking Beyond Borders is, you are experiencing the country in such a unique way that you really can't get anywhere else. So take advantage of it, for sure. You're sitting there and you're talking about these crazy topics with a bunch of different people. You are living with a family that just is completely taking you in and teaching you their culture. And then every day you're working with people who just are so inspiring because they just care so much about the work that they're doing and care about their communities. And you get to work right along beside that. So it's a unique experience, definitely not one to be tossed aside or to be it's not an experience to disengage from when you get homesickness. So yeah. Oh, more questions. Okay. What did you do the week you came back to the US?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't get that through.
Yeah. What did you do in the week you came back to the US? With the week in DC?
Well, I've only been to DC one other time before that, so it was definitely fun to go around, especially because one of the girls goes to college in DC, so that was nice. At first we all thought it was going to be hard, but because we were all together, like the same group and the same familiar faces, it was really easy. But we definitely, for a while, like we had time to do whatever we wanted. We went to like the hot spots in the main areas of like shopping and like tourists, like sightseeing and all this stuff. But then we also still had seminars where we discussed like what we had gone through, and then we also got to talk to the Asia gap semester. So we like attacked them with so many questions because none of us had been to Asia. So we asked them all these questions about like what it was like, and that was fun.
Yeah, you just add on to what Krisz says. You pretty much spend a week meeting with organizations and companies that do development work, but kind of stateside. So it's kind of understanding where the money comes from in a lot of ways. You meet with the World Bank. You meet with, I'm trying to remember any of the other organizations we met with, but you meet with a bunch of organizations that are essentially looking for ways to raise money and to do work either stateside, they do development work in the States, or they are sending people and researching to do help with the development world out there in foreign countries. As well as, like Krisz said, we have those seminars where we sit down and we tackle questions of what is development and kind of bring the whole experience full circle and wrap our heads around what we've learned, what we're going to take away, and really try to hone on the question of so what, right? I just had this crazy 3 months of my life and I learned about all these different problems and issues. Now what, right? What's my role? What's my responsibility now? What do I need to do to not waste this experience and this new knowledge that I've gained? So it's a good week. Then the next question. Oh, and then sorry, and at the end of that, we have a big graduation ceremony where you present your projects that you put together of like the one thing that you took away from Bolivia, from the last country, and you present it to your parents. Your parents fly out, and we have some food and snacks and essentially, a graduation. You will give you a diploma and say you've graduated from the TVB program. So it's cool. Okay, next question is from, it says, are you still in contact with some of the people you did the gap semester / gap year program with?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like Kasha, like I call her every so often. There's a group chat that some of us have, and so we all talk to each other or message some of the girls all the time. I was talking to one before this. I Skyped with another just the other day, and a bunch of us are actually planning to meet up this summer in New York.
Fun!
Yeah, Paulina has an internship in New York, and I live there, and some people have easy access, so we're trying to create this meetup there.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, you definitely stay in contact. So like, I know you're like, okay, yeah, but you just finished your program. I did the program 5 years ago and I'm still in contact with my people. So those relationships stick just because you have this unforgettable experience that really nobody else in the world will understand what you're going through. Let me have a look. Sorry, Siri wanted to join our conversation. yeah, there's just, you have this experience where like nobody else gets it. Nobody else will get you or will understand that part of you or that part of your life except for these 15 or so people that traveled with you. So it really kind of bonds you for life. I was fortunate for the last couple months to kind of fly around doing recruitment for TBB, Thinking Beyond Borders, the shortened way of saying it. And so I got to visit a bunch of people from my year, and it was just like I'd seen them yesterday. There really was no difference, no distance. It was just sitting there and just giving each other, you know, what we've been doing for the last few years. And yeah, there's just a connection and a love there that is really cool and really special. And they, just because it's such a crazy, impressionable trip, you do a lot of growing and learning, and those people that you travel with really get to see every side of you. And so I feel like those people know me better than like some of my friends from high school, just because they saw me, they were with me 24/7 for 8 months. So yeah, you love them and you hate them sometimes, but you usually end up loving them in the end. So it's cool.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys have any more questions, shoot them at us. We're going to try to wrap this up within the next 5 minutes. So Krisz, do you have any last words? Anything, any tips, any, I don't know, any testimonies of how awesome the program is, whatever. Any last words, I guess?
Sign up for the program, for sure. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about the program. Things happen, and it always reminds me of the program. And I always look to turn around to see if like anyone's around from the program so I can tell them like, hey, remember that one time when this happened? But I can't do that anymore. The program was definitely the best thing that I've ever done, for sure. And I wish I could go back. I really do.
Oh, yeah, ditto. This program, sorry, go ahead. Oh, we finished, okay. This program is special, and I know we're biased because it's the one that we did, but it's got a lot of heart, and it's run by really awesome people who have a really beautiful vision and mission for each one of their students. And the alumni community afterwards is great. It's a really, really cool group of people that graduate from our program. And it just, yeah, I ditto everything Krisz says. Every day I'll think of something and I look for people and I'm like, ah, dang it, there's no one around. No one gets it. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience, one that is completely unique, and really honestly gives you the traveling experience that you don't get from other programs or other trips. We really focus on trying to really understand the countries that we're in and really inspire our students and the participants to want to go out and change it, see what's going on in the world and ask themselves, okay, now it's my turn. What do I do? Tell me what to do. So it's cool. It's a great program. So I support it as well. Anyways, looks like we don't have any more questions and it's about to end. So this has been 2016 Google Alumni Hangout. Thank you for listening in, for those that did, and for the questions and for participating. Thank you, Krisz, for taking time out of your busy college life to do this with us. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or just go to our website and push that apply button if you haven't already. Anyways, yeah. Thanks, guys, and we will see you next time.